We start this edition of WION Fine Print with the biggest news of the hour. The leader of the Islamic State has now been killed in a counter-terror operation carried out by the United States in northwestern Syria. US President Joe Biden made the announcement of Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi being killed an hour ago and is expected to issue his remarks any moment now. Reading out the president's statement for our viewers, and I quote, "Thanks to the skill and bravery of our armed forces, we have taken off the battlefield Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi, the leader of ISIS." Adding, the president said that all Americans involved in the operation returned safely. Al-Hashimi took over as a leader of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria after the death of former leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in 2019. The Pentagon did not initially identify the target of the raid. Talking about the raids, the press secretary, John Kirby, said that the mission was successful, adding that there were no civilian casualties. Local testimonies, however, indicate the complete opposite. They have reported several civilian casualties in the two-hour operation. Locals say that the raid took place around midnight in a densely populated area known as Atme, near the border with Turkey, where tens of thousands of displaced Syrians live in makeshift camps. And according to some accounts, the top floor of the low house was almost completely destroyed in this raid. A room there had collapsed, sending white bricks tumbling to the ground below. The British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights called the raids the biggest ever since 2019, when Baghdadi was killed, and said that the strike killed 13 people, including 4 children and 2 women. This, of course, is the biggest news of the hour. And the US president is slated to speak on the same shortly. We, of course, will continue to track all updates. The leader of the Islamic State has been killed in a counter-terror operation carried out by the United States in northwestern Syria. Joe Biden has made the announcement of Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi being killed an hour ago. He's also expected to issue remarks shortly. The president said, and I'm quoting, "Thanks to the skill and bravery of our armed forces, we have taken off the battlefield Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi, the leader of ISIS." Now, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live from New York. Susan, thanks for joining us. Big news coming in. The US president has confirmed that the ISIS leader has been killed in a counter-terror operation carried out in northwest Syria by the United States. What more can you tell us?
Right, the biggest counterterrorism operation when it comes to ISIS yet, since the top commander Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was killed back in 2019 by the Trump administration. This was, of course, Baghdadi's replacement, and now we are hearing that he has been killed. There was a lot of buzz about this operation. We learned at the White House prior to it taking place on Wednesday evening. And now we know that it was successful. President Biden will speak about it, but I think the broader aspect of it, which analysts and experts are talking about, is the fact that it's significant because, first of all, it shows that in recent weeks, ISIS is able to, as anticipated, regroup, recuperate, and carry out terrorist attacks. And that's why it was important for the Biden administration to carry out this operation. And second of all, that the ISIS threat is very real, not only in Syria, but as we saw recently in Iraq as well. And it's a cause for concern around the world. Of course, we'll hear the president speak shortly this morning, actually, in a matter of minutes, in the next hour or so, about this operation, and we'll learn more about how it was carried out.
Right. We, of course, will be watching out for that address from the US president. Now, we're also getting some conflicting reports of casualties in what is reportedly the biggest raid in the country since 2019. We're getting reports that at least 13 people have been killed, including children. Tell us more about the same.
Right, that's something that we're getting conflicting reports about as well, that civilian casualties were indeed part of this raid. There are reports that when he actually detonated the bomb himself, that member of his own family was also killed, but then civilian casualties, because the raid was so big, actually took place around the complex and the compound of that building. And that was a cause for concern, actually, just prior to this attack for the Pentagon, because it was circulating a memo prior to this attack in recent months as a way and means of how to prevent civilian casualties when it does carry out special op around the world, notably these kinds of operations. So that's something that is going to be talked about definitely, not only in press conference perhaps with John Kirby, but I think something that's going to be in the limelight of how the United States can possibly prevent something like this from happening in the future. But it's already being talked about. First of all, not only about the conflicting reports, but also about that memo that was circulated just recently about how to prevent civilian casualties when operations like these are being carried out.
Right, absolutely. Susan, thanks so much for all those inputs. Of course, we'll be tracking the upcoming address from the US President shortly. Thanks for speaking to us at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.